Have you ever wondered? Out on the vast ocean off the coast of Maine, where fierce storms sweep through without warning, if massive shadows lurk beneath the waves, waiting to devour anything in their path. I'm Captain Elias Reed, a lifelong fisherman from a small town in Maine, and this is the story of the night my crew and I ran for our lives from hell itself on the sea. It was the trip that broke me, cost me my friends, and made me burn my own boat in the end. It started like any other run in 2020. My boat, the Sea Reaper, was an old wooden trawler, sturdy, with a strong engine and nets that had fed families for decades. I was 50 then, with salt in my veins from 3 generations of Reeds chasing cod and lobster. My crew was family too, 8 good men and 1 tough woman, all from the same harbors. Old Ben, my first mate, was pushing 60, full of sea tales about monsters from the deep. Tommy, the young kid at 25, always joking to hide his nerves with a photo of his wife and baby tucked in his pocket. Big Mike was our muscle, strong but superstitious, crossing himself at every wave. And Sarah, our only woman on board, sharp as a gutting knife, handling the lines better than most guys. We set out from Portland on a clear morning, the water calm and blue, smelling of salt and promise. I stood at the wheel, thinking of my wife Mary back home, worrying as always, and my son who wanted to join the life. One more good haul, I told myself. But as the sun dipped, clouds gathered fast. We didn't know the storm coming would wake something ancient and hungry from the depths. If I'd turned back then, maybe they'd all still be alive. Setting out from Portland that morning felt like every other fishing trip I'd taken in my 50 years. Routine, reliable, with that familiar thrill of the sea calling. The Sea Reaper bobbed gentle in the harbor, her wooden hull creaking softly as we loaded gear. She was a 40-footer, built in the 80s by my dad's old yard, with a wide beam for stability and an engine that purred like a contented cat. I'd painted her fresh blue last spring, but salt had already started claiming spots. The air smelled clean, brine from the waves, diesel from the tanks, and fresh bait stacked in crates. Gulls cried overhead, diving for scraps, and the sun warmed my back as I checked the lines. My crew moved like a well-oiled machine, each one a piece of my life on the water. Old Ben was first aboard, thermos of black coffee in hand. "Morning, Cap. Sea's whispering sweet today," he said with his gravel voice, adjusting his faded cap. Ben had sailed with my dad before me, knew every current from Casco Bay to the Grand Banks. His stories kept nights lively, tales of ghost ships and sea beasts from his grandpa's whaling days. But Ben fished for his grandkids now, sending money home to spoil them. "One more season," he'd say, though we both knew he'd die on a boat. Tommy bounced on next, duffel over his shoulder. "Ready to bag some big ones, Cap." He grinned, that Boston accent thick as chowder. At 25, he was our youngest, eager, a bit clumsy, but hard-working. He'd shown me pics of his newborn the night before. Gonna name the next haul after her. Tommy reminded me of my son Jake at that age, full of dreams, scared of letting family down. His wife waited back home, probably pacing with worry. "Bring him back safe," she'd texted me. Big Mike lumbered up the gangway, his bulk making the boat dip. "Weather holding?" he asked, voice deep like thunder. Mike was 40, built like a linebacker from his football days in high school. He handled the heavy lifts, hauling traps, wrestling lines with ease. But he was our worrier, always touching his St. Christopher medal before we cast off. "Protects from the deep," he'd mutter. Mike had a soft side too. Sent half his pay to his mom in Gloucester, who raised him alone after his dad drowned. Sarah was last, toolbox in one hand, coffee in the other. "Let's make some money," she said, hopping aboard light as a cat. 32, from a lobstering family up in Bar Harbor, Sarah was our rock. Fixed engines better than Pete, gutted fish faster than anyone. She didn't take crap from the guys. "Sea don't discriminate," she'd say with a wink. Sarah had a daughter, 8 years old, living with grandma. "She's why I do this. College fund." We'd shared stories over beers. Her ex bailed, left her to provide. Tough as nails, but her laugh lit up rough days. The rest filled in. Hank the cook, 50-ish, with a belly from his own chowder. Pete on engines, quiet mechanic in his 40s. And the twins, Joe and Sam, 30-something brothers from Portland, always competing on hauls. We were a mix, ages 25 to 60, all chasing the same dream. A good catch, safe return, paychecks for loved ones. As captain, I felt the weight, their lives in my hands. Mary had kissed me goodbye that morning. Come home, Elias, Jake needs his dad. Our boy was 18, talking college but eyeing the sea. Not yet, I told him. The ocean took my brother young. I wouldn't lose Jake too. We cast off easy, the Reaper gliding out past the breakwater. Harbor seals barked farewell, and the lighthouse blinked steady. I took the wheel, coffee steaming as we headed east into open water. The sea was flat, a mirror reflecting blue sky with that fresh salt tang I lived for. Crew settled in, Ben plotting course on charts, Tommy baiting hooks, Big Mike checking winches. Sarah fired up the radio for weather. Clear all day, light chop. Hank started lunch smells wafting, bacon sandwiches. Joe and Sam bet on first catch. Miles out we hit the grounds. Nets dropped with a splash, dragging deep for cod. The haul came good, silver fish flopping on deck, filling bins. Laughter echoed, Tommy slipping on slime again, city boy. Big Mike teased. Sarah sorted quick, knife flashing. I felt that old joy, the rhythm of work, sea rocking us gentle. Remembered my dad teaching me, respect her, son, she gives and takes. But as afternoon faded, the sky changed. Clouds rolled in thick from northeast, wind picking up cool and sharp. Storm brewing, Ben said, sniffing air like a hound. Waves built slow from ripples to swells. I checked radar. A low-pressure system spinning fast, nor'easter, unforecasted. Reel in, I ordered. Crew moved quick, but unease spread. Big Mike crossed himself. Bad sign, Tommy looked green. We heading back? I shook my head. Too late, ride it out here, safer than turning in building seas. Mary crossed my mind. Her worry lines. Should have listened. Night dropped quick under those clouds. Wind howled 30 knots, waves 10 feet, slapping hull like slaps. Rain started, light at first, then pouring. Crew gathered in cabin, faces tense. How bad, Cap? Sarah asked. We've seen worse, I said, but doubt nagged. Lightning flashed distant, thunder rumbling. Then in a bolt's glow, far off, a black shape underwater, huge as a hill. What was that? Tommy pointed. Ben leaned close. Deep one stirring. Storm wakes 'em. We laughed, nervous, but the sea boiled where it vanished. The whispers started faint, like wind through vents, but calling names. Elias? Out here. Unease turned to chill. I radioed Coast Guard, static with moans underneath. Crew shifted. Hallucination? But I felt it, the sea wasn't empty. As wind hit 50 knots, waves crashing over, the shadows showed again, closer, blocking stars. It's real, Big Mike whispered, metal clutched. The chase began and my crew's lives hung by a thread. If only I'd turned back sooner. The wind turned on us quick, like the sea had a grudge. What started as a fresh breeze picked up to a howl, rattling the rigging and whipping spray across the deck. I felt it in my bones, that shift from calm to chaos I'd seen too many times. Storm coming fast, I called down from the wheelhouse. The crew looked up, faces tightening. Old Ben nodded grim, tying down loose gear. Nor'easter, Cap, she's gonna bite. Waves that had been easy rolls built to white-capped swells, slapping the hull harder with each hit. The sky went from blue to gray, clouds boiling like angry smoke. I checked the radar again. Red blobs spinning our way, winds clocking 40 knots already. Secure everything. I barked over the speaker. The Reaper started to pitch, her bow dipping into troughs and rising with groans. Rain hit first in fat drops, then sheets soaking us through. Tommy slipped on the wet deck, catching himself on a rail. This bad, Cap. His voice had that edge, first big blow for the kid. I kept steady. We've ridden worse. Bail if she takes water. But inside, worry gnawed. Mary had texted before we left. Watch the weather. Should have listened closer. Down below, the crew hustled. Big Mike lashed crates with his thick ropes. Told ya, bad omen leaving on a Tuesday. He crossed himself, metal glinting wet. Sarah rolled her eyes but helped, her hands quick on knots. Superstition won't keep us dry, Mike. Move. Hank slammed the galley hatch. Food secured. No chow till this passes. Pete checked the bilge pumps. She's taking a little, but holding. The twins, Joe and Sam, battened hatches, their usual jokes gone silent. The boat rolled harder now. Waves 10 feet and climbing, crashing over the bow like waterfalls. Thunder rumbled distant, lightning forking the sky. In the wheelhouse, I fought the wheel to keep her nose into the wind. The compass spun wild, GPS glitching from the storm's static. Everyone inside, I ordered as rain turned to a downpour, visibility dropping to nothing. The crew piled into the cabin, dripping and tense. Tommy looked green. Feels like a roller coaster from hell. Sarah handed out life vests. Strap in. Could get rough. Old Ben peered out a porthole. Winds 50 now, gusts higher. He's mad tonight. The storm hit full force around midnight. Wind screamed 60 knots, tearing at anything loose. A bucket flew overboard like a leaf. Waves towered 15 feet, lifting the Reaper high, then dropping her with stomach-lurching slams. Water flooded the deck, ankle-deep pumps whining over time. The boat exchanged bad, rolling side to side like she might flip. "Hold on," I yelled as a rogue wave hit broadside, shoving us over. Gear crashed below, pots banging, tools scattering. Tommy threw up in a bucket. "Make it stop." Big Mike gripped his seat. "We're gonna capsize." Arguments sparked in the fear. "We should have turned back hours ago," Tommy shouted, face pale. Cap knew the clouds looked bad. Big Mike nodded. "Yeah, Elias, what were you thinking?" My gut said no. I kept eyes on the wheel. Yell later, bail now. But guilt stung, they were right. I'd pushed for the hull, bills piling at home. Sarah defended. "Shut it. Cap's keeping us afloat. Grab buckets." She led the bale, scooping water fierce. But the roll worsened. A wave washed over, knocking Joe into Sam. "You okay?" Sam asked. Joe nodded, but blood trickled from his head. "Just a bump." Lightning cracked close, thunder shaking the hull. In the flash, I saw it again. The shadow, closer now, a black mass under the waves bigger than our boat. "Look," Ben pointed, voice hoarse. The crew crowded the windows. "What is that?" Tommy whispered. It rose slow, blocking the horizon, shape vague but massive, like a hill moving underwater. "Whale?" Hank asked, hopeful. Big Mike backed away. "No whale moves like that. It's evil." The sea boiled around it, waves surging wilder. "It's causing this," Sarah said, phone shaking as she filmed. The boat shuddered. Something brushed underneath like fingers on the keel. Panic spread like fire. "Turn around, Cap." "Get us out," Tommy begged, tears in his eyes. Big Mike stood. "We're cursed. That thing's the devil." He paced, knocking into crates. "Mike, sit down," Sarah snapped. But he lost it. "I ain't dying here." He bolted for the deck, wind tearing the door open. Rain poured in as he climbed the rail. Better the sea than that monster. "Mike, no," I yelled, lunging from the wheel. Ben grabbed him. "Don't be a fool." But Mike shoved free, jumped into the black waves, gone in a splash. His scream cut short, waves closing over. The cabin went silent, but for sobs. "He's gone," Tommy whispered, curling up. Sarah's face hardened, but tears fell. "We can't lose more." Hank broke. "My turn next?" He stood wild-eyed. "I can't take this." Old Ben pulled him down. "Pray, lad. Lord'll see us through." Crew knelt ragged. Big Mike's medal washed on the floor, Sarah picking it up. "Our Father," she started, voice trembling. Others joined. Tommy mumbling through tears, Joe and Sam holding each other. Ben's boom leading. I prayed too from the wheel. "Mary, Jake. Keep them safe if I don't make it." Lightning showed the shadow full. Tentacles breaking surface, eyes red as coals. The beast closed in, a tentacle whipping high, crashing near, rocking us hard. "It's playing with us," Ben said. Crew cowered. "Why us?" Tommy cried. Arguments flared again. "Your fault, Cap. You let us out." Hank accused. Sarah defended. "Blame the storm, not him." But I felt the weight, my choice, my crew dying. The radio spat static. Moans where the shadow was, like calls for help. "Ghosts," Joe whispered. Sam nodded. Or worse. A massive wave hit, 20 feet lifting us skyward, then dropping. The Reaper slammed down, hull cracking. Water gushed in from splits. "Bailing won't cut it." Pete yelled from below, but a tentacle probed the gash, slimy arm snaking in. Hank screamed, "It's inside!" He ran for the door, slipping in flood. "Let me out!" The arm grabbed him, yanking through the hole. His cry echoed, "High help!" Gone, for now, me, Ben, Sarah, Tommy. The boat listed bad, engine faltering in water. "She's going down," Tommy sobbed. Sarah stood. "Fight." She fired a flare where the eye glowed. Hit. The beast roared, recoiling. But its voice hit our heads. Whispers calling names, Elias, join. My brother's drowned face flashed. Guilt pure. "Not real." I shook it. Tommy broke again. "My baby." He climbed the rail in trance. "Tommy." Sarah grabbed, but he jumped, waves taking him 3 left. The shadow circled, tentacles probing. "Endgame," Ben said grim. We prayed together. Hail Marys as waves washed. But hope flickered, dawn graying east. "Light hurts it." Ben yelled. I pushed the dying engine. "Hold on." The beast thrashed rage, but retreated slow as sun rose. Storm eased, waves calming. We floated broken, silent sobs for the lost. Guilt crushed me, 5 gone, my watch. As coast appeared, I knew, no more sea. But whispers lingered in waves. The shadow didn't let up, surging through the storm like a black tidal wave with a mind of its own. Lightning split the sky, and in that white flash I saw the full horror. A colossal body, dark and slick, with tentacles coiling like giant pythons from the abyss. Those red eyes, big as searchlights burning with ancient hunger, fixed on the Sea Reaper. The boat trembled as one tentacle whipped out, smashing the water nearby and sending a cascade of foam over the deck. "It's right on us!" Sarah screamed, her voice cutting through the gale. She reloaded the harpoon gun with shaking hands, rain streaming down her face. "Full throttle!" I roared, slamming the lever forward. The engine howled in protest, props churning the sea into froth as we tried to pull away. But the Reaper was wounded, the mast gone, hull cracked, and she wallowed in the swells. Wood splintered somewhere below, and water gushed in faster. Old Ben fired a flare straight at the beast. Red light arcing through the rain, exploding against its hide. A deep bellow rattled our bones, vibrating the wheel in my grip. Greenish ichor sprayed, mixing with the salt spray, the stench like rotten meat hitting us hard. The crew snapped into action with what we had left. Tommy grabbed a gaff hook from the deck box, swinging it wild. "Stay back, you freak!" His voice cracked, terror plain, but he stood his ground as a wave washed over. Sarah let the harpoon fly, thunk, it buried deep in a tentacle. The beast thrashed, yanking the line taut and nearly pulling her over the rail. "Cut it!" Ben yelled, axe flashing to sever the rope. Big Mike's absence burned. He'd have been the one charging first. Instead, Hank fired the last flare gun. "Burn in hell!" It hit an eye, pop fluid bursting like a popped blister. The roar that followed shook the sea, waves surging wilder. Panic boiled over. The boat pitched violent, a rogue wave lifting us sky high, then dropping us with a slam that jarred teeth. Tommy slid across the deck, slamming into the rail. "Help me!" Sarah hauled him back. "Hold on, kid, we're not losing you." But another tentacle smashed down, grazing the stern and shattering the transom. Splinters flew and the engine sputtered as water hit the fuel lines. Pete's voice from below. "She's flooding bad, Cap. Pumps can't keep up." The Reaper listed hard to starboard, waves pouring in like rivers. The crew's fear turned to frenzy. "We're sinking!" Hank wailed, bolting from the cabin. "That thing's gonna eat us alive!" Big Mike's jump flashed in my mind, his body vanishing in the black. Tommy dropped to his knees in the rising water. "Please, God, I don't want to die." Tears cut tracks on his soaked face, his baby's photo clutched like a talisman. Sarah knelt beside him. "Pray with me, Tommy, our Father." Her voice wavered but held. And Ben joined. "Who art in heaven." Even I whispered along from the wheel, "Hallowed be thy name." Lightning showed the beast closing, tentacles encircling like a noose. Mouth a cavern of jagged teeth where shadows writhed. Joe and Sam. The twins grabbed whatever weapons, Joe with a boat hook, Sam an oar. "Come on, you bastard!" Sam bellowed, swinging at a probing arm. It connected, thud, but the tentacle wrapped him fast, yanking him up. "Sam!" Joe lunged, hooking the arm, but it squeezed. Crunch. Sam's scream cutting short as it dragged him under, blood foaming the waves. Joe collapsed. "My brother, no." The loss hit like a gut punch. Those boys, inseparable since birth, 1 gone, 3 left below. Hank broke completely, eyes wild. "I can't. It's calling me." The beast's voice pulsed in our heads, not words, but pulls, whispers of surrender. Join deep. Hank climbed the rail. Better quick. Hank, stop. Ben grabbed, but he shoved free, jumped into the churn, waves claiming him instant. Sobs racked Tommy. Everyone's dying. Sarah pulled him close. Not us. Fight for your kid. The shadows swallowed at us, one tentacle coiling the bow, pulling us back. The hull groaned, splitting wider. It's got us, I yelled. Water chest high below, engine choking. Sarah fired her last harpoon, straight into the maw. Roar deafening, but it squeezed harder. Ben axed frantic, cut free! I saw Mary in my mind, her smile, Jake's laugh. Rage surged. Not my boat. Spotted the fuel drums lashed midship, diesel backups. Ben, roll 'em over. He understood axe-severing lines. Drums tumbled into the tentacle's grip, lids popping, oil spilling slick. Now! I grabbed a flare, shot it into the mess, whoosh. Flames erupted orange against black, burning the arm fierce. The beast shrieked, recoiling, charred flesh smoking. The Reaper freed, I gunned the auxiliary motor. Cough, roar, it kicked in. Double power, we surged forward, leaving the flaming tentacle behind. The beast thrashed fury, waves towering 30 feet, crashing relentless, trying to swamp us. Hold, Sarah yelled, clinging to Tommy. The kid prayed loud, please, home. A final tentacle probed. Ben flared it blind. Sarah knifed a sucker. I steered zigzag, dodging. Doing great east. Light's coming, it hates light. Ben shouted. The beast slowed, red eyes dimming as it sank deep, whispers fading to echoes. Storm broke slow, winds dropping, rain easing to drizzle. We floated in calm, the Reaper a wreck. Hull gashed, deck flooded, but afloat. We survived, Ben gasped, slumping exhausted. Sarah hugged Tommy, the kid safe, but loss crushed. Big Mike, Hank, Joe, Sam, Pete, 5 gone, their screams haunting. Guilt flooded me, my decisions, my crew. As coast loomed, I knew the sea was done with me. But whispers lingered in waves, calling soft. As dawn broke gray and cold over the horizon, the Sea Reaper limped toward the coast like a wounded animal. The storm had eased to a whisper, the waves flattening out, but the boat was a wreck. Hull gashed open, deck awash in blood-streaked water, engine coughing smoke. I stood at the wheel, hands numb, staring at the rocky outline of Maine appearing through the mist. Land, old Ben rasped from beside me, his voice hoarse from shouting prayers all night. Sarah slumped against the rail, her face streaked with grime and tears, holding Tommy's soaked photo that had washed up on deck. We made it, she whispered, but it sounded hollow. 5 gone. Big Mike, Hank, Tommy, Joe, Sam, Pete. Their screams still echoed in my head, mixed with the beast's roars. The Coast Guard spotted our flare's dying glow and met us a mile out. Their cutter pulled alongside, searchlights cutting the fog. You folks okay? A young guard yelled, throwing lines. We tied off and they boarded, strong hands helping us over. Medics wrapped us in blankets, checked for breaks and hypothermia. What happened out there? The captain asked. Notebook ready. I told it straight. The storm, the shadow, tentacles dragging my men under. His face stayed blank, but eyes said crazy. Rogue wave, maybe? Exposure plays tricks. Sarah backed me. It was real, big as a submarine. Eyes like fire. Old Ben nodded. Kraken from the deep. They noted it down, but the report would say storm casualties, possible hallucinations. We docked in Portland as the sun climbed, the harbor buzzing with rescue crews and families. Mary was there first, running down the pier, Jake beside her. Elias, she cried, throwing arms around me. I held her tight, burying my face in her hair, smelling home. I'm here, I whispered, but tears came. Jake hugged too. Dad. We thought... His voice broke. The survivors' families came, Sarah's mom taking her home, Ben's grandkids swarming him. But for the lost, it was heartbreak. Tommy's wife collapsing when told, clutching that photo. Big Mike's mom staring blank at the sea. I stood aside, guilt like lead in my gut. My fault, I thought. I'd led them out, ignored the signs. The days after blurred. Hospital checks. Cuts stitched, bruises bandaged, but no fix for the nightmares. Duck said PTSD. Storms do that, mines fill in monsters. I didn't argue. Sarah quit fishing, moved inland with her girl. Old Ben retired to his porch, telling tales to kids who laughed them off. Me, I tried normal, home with Mary, helping Jake with school. But the sea called soft at night, whispers and waves crashing the beach. Elias! Come back! I'd wake sweating, checking my skin for sucker marks. The Reaper sat in dry dock, patched but scarred. Insurance called it storm damage. Cut a check. But I couldn't sail her again. Sell it, Mary said, gentle. Start fresh. Jake nodded. Dad, the sea took enough. But selling felt wrong, like handing a curse to another crew. The decision came one sleepless night. Moon high, I drove to the yard alone. The boat loomed dark, her blue paint charred from flares. Whispers rose from the water, moans like my lost men calling. Gas can from the truck, 5 gallons heavy in my hands. I doused the decks slow, diesel soaking wood where blood had dried. The smell sharp, mixing with salt air. Stood back, matchbook trembling. For you boys, I whispered. Mike, Hank, Tommy, Joe, Sam, Pete. Rest now. Struck the match, flame small but steady. Dropped it. Whoosh! Fire caught, licking up ropes, spreading fast. The Reaper burned bright, flames dancing orange against black water. Smoke rising thick like souls escaping. Heat warmed my face, tears hot on cheeks. Watched till she was a skeleton, embers glowing. Cops came later. Accident? I said yes, faulty wiring. They bought it, quit fishing that week. Sold gear, took a job at the hardware store. Steady, dry land under feet. Mary smiled more. Jake stopped asking about the sea. But the call never left. Walks on the beach, I'd hear it, whispers in surf. Join us. Saw shadows in waves sometimes, long arms reaching. Told no one, who'd believe. Years passed. I'm 60 now, grandkids asking stories. Grandpa, what about the monster? I spin it light, but the truth haunts. That's why I'm telling this. Video on my old phone, voice steady but eyes tired. If you're out there, fisherman or not, listen. The deep holds things storms wake. My crew learned hard, lost to that shadow. If you feel that pull after a blow, hear names in wind. Stay ashore. Burn your boat if you must. The itch returns sometimes, cold fingers on my neck in dreams. The sea never forgets. If whispers start after this tale, God help you. Share your sea stories below. Maybe we're not alone.